or two down. Use this thing. Leaping down in a mass robot. Ah! That's me too. I thought I was gonna stand on the platform. Not really sure why I didn't. Now I'm on it. Alright, we just finished our hour with A Valley Without Wind. Um, it seems like it is kind of a roguelike, procedural generation. Start you with random characters. You can re-roll or choose one of those characters. They have different upgrades, move speed, mana, different attack, things like that. There are a lot of different spells in the game. The game is overwhelming, first of all. Like, for me, I play a lot of games, but there's just everything thrown at you, and you don't really know where to turn or which way to go. Seems like there's some depths to the game. The graphics are not that great, um, but there's just a whole lot to do, and there's a whole lot to learn. Like, it seems like a game that you can play for a long period of time, and it's probably a lot more rewarding the more you play it. I get that kind of a vibe from it, that it just, somebody's put a lot of passion into that game, but they haven't really worked on the user interface. They haven't really worked on making it friendly for new players. There is a second one of that game, or A Valley Without Wind 2. I think we may go ahead and skip that one for now and come back to it. Probably try and pick it up tomorrow. But I don't know. I mean, I like the game. The combat isn't really that good. The AI is really terrible for the enemies, from what I've seen so far. It may get a lot harder, but there's a whole settlement. Yeah, there's a settlement with other characters that you can change into, power up, send on missions. I don't know. There's just, I'm still trying to process it all. Like I say, that is a very overwhelming game. Um, which is somewhat impressive for what it is, because they put a lot of the effort into the systems, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that carries over to the second game. But I'm gonna bring up my list. So we just did A Valley Without Wind. That puts us at 6 games completed. Now if I'm gonna go back for an hour and play one of these games, A Valley Without Wind is probably, I mean, there's a lot to learn with it. There's a lot to learn. There's so much more that I don't understand. Um, it's probably actually gonna take my third spot for now. I like games with decent graphics, but a game doesn't have to have great graphics for me to play it. I mean, so right now we are at 6 games completed. 7 Days to Die still sits at the top. A Hat in Time is second, and A Valley Without Wind takes third. Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting game. It's rather old. It's a little clunky. The user interface, learning to control the game is a bit of a chore. So, but next up will be Arrow. So I'm gonna take about a 5-minute break, and then I'll start that one. Go ahead and get it all updated on here, and if you're watching on Twitch, then I'm gonna put links in the chat for some YouTube content where I am just going through and clipping these videos just to give kind of a quick overview, like 5 minute clip, saying what my thoughts on the game are after an hour. I will take in some of these clips will have actual gameplay footage in them. Some of them won't. It just depends. Depends on what all happened during that game. If it was one that there's anything clip worthy to put in there. Just seeing some gameplay of the game. I may start putting links into my main video so you can click a link to get into the video and then see some actual gameplay. See if it's something that you might be interested in. But if you're watching on Twitch, I appreciate it. Stick around and I'll start up with Arrow here in about 5 minutes.